my Streamlabs froze and then crashed. So that's fun. Okay, so anyway, technical difficulties over, I think. So anyway, recap. So when we last left the Bums of Greenest, you were on your 2-month journey to north Waterdeep. I put too many twos in there, from Baldur's Gate. You disguised yourselves as part of a merchant caravan, with Erdnot pretending to be interested in sharing some of his mid-level ale with the world, and the rest of you as his guards. 7 other wagons accompany you on the trek, including 3 that you're pretty sure are full of cultists and their mercs, and the whole reason why you joined up with this band in the first place. You've been on the road for less than a week, through the fields of the dead, and already you've saved some people, bonded with some other people, and Arik almost died again. So we pick up on day 6 in the morning, just after the Periton attack that shook the caravan and almost cost your fighter his heart.
Oh, it really went for his heart?
Yeah, so
you two missed that.
Yeah.
so
No, he was he was a fart away from dying.
Yes. As a quick recap of what happened, you all, it was day 5 on your journey, and suddenly 2 large creatures attacked from the sky. Actually, more than that, but 2 of them attacked like your area. It was a really quick battle. I think it was like 2 rounds, maybe 3. But in that time, the creature, which Micaiah, you knew what it was, so I will describe what it was. Feathered and winged.
But she didn't tell us.
Well, you yelled it out, but I didn't want to have to play both you and Ari, so I just kind of had you guys a little bit further back in the caravan, so too far back to help in the moment, depending on how quickly it went. So the Periton has a feathered and winged body that's about 7 feet long and 5 feet tall. Similar to that of a giant eagle, with dark green or gray-green feathers. Its head, however, is covered in blue, black, or purple hair and is roughly the shape of a deer's, but its maw is full of jagged fangs, and the talons are as sharp as razors. And on the top of its head was a set of extremely sharp and strong antlers, which are jet black color. There was a male and a female. The male had light blue chest feathers, and the female had brown. Let's see here. So that there was an attack by 2 of them, and one of them like missed right off. I rolled really badly for both of them, actually, for the majority of the time, which was lucky because the second one got, I think, a single crit. There was 1 hit against Arik and then a crit, which took him down. And then Micaiah would know this, that they go after humans specifically, and they eat their heart, which is what allows them to procreate. So the first one after Aldor, the human lawyer who's with you all, but then switched over to Arik. So yeah, Arik was 1 death save away from dead and got very lucky.
Wow.
That was I think a 15 that you rolled.
Yeah, was my heart almost murdered deer boner pills? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it sounds like.
Your heart was dear Viagra.
I think I would have been, if that's how he
That
went,
sounds
I
right.
would have been so mad.
Well, they eat your yeah, what's happening here? Oh no, that's
Is
not
that like
right.
that's their aphrodisiac? That's just
No,
how they get down?
it allows them to create eggs. It's not like an aphrodisiac. It's like, I don't know. It's some weird thing.
You say egg making, I
So
say
it
bone bread.
impregnates them?
No,
Tomato,
it's like
tomato.
they need the. It's like they need it to create. I don't know. They also like it gives them the ability to. They have to eat it. I don't know. I didn't make these
They
up.
just can't get the deed done.
Okay, so yeah, yeah, 2 death saves in, and there was a final one, and it was 15. So lucky. Yeah, it was a tense moment. And then they got close to being killed, the two, so they bounced before they could be murdered. The birds, or not really birds, the peritons. So they left, and we're picking up the following morning. As a result of the attack, quite a few people were just kind of slightly hurt. Nobody died, but the humans were definitely targeted. So we pick up the next day, and you guys are all at your camp. It's a bit of an overcast day today. And let's see, as you're all sitting around and kind of like starting to pack up, Aldor, who actually was one of the first to almost die, comes right up to you, Arik, and sits down, and he's like, "Wow, that was a rough night, rough day. How you feeling?"
Pretty shitty.
He had hit his head on like a rock, so you had seen like at the aftermath when Eldkin like jumped on him to pull him out of the way. He fell and hit his head, so he had some, blood on the back of his head, but that's been since cleaned up. But you know that he got smashed too. So
We sure he didn't cut open his own head and make himself bleed, so it looked like he was attacked while he was hiding.
no, you guys saw him. You saw it.
He was was that the lawyer guy?
Yeah, that's the lawyer.
Yeah.
The skeezy guy that was gonna try to buy that.
Yeah. So
Glowy thing.
yeah. So speaking of, he's like, so I don't know if you've given any thought to my proposal, but I mean, I'm thinking, some healing potions at the next stop might do you better than that old thing. I'd be willing to give you 300 gold for it right now.
We were up to 425 before, and you're gonna
Yeah,
try to
he's
short me?
lowballing.
Yeah. Get out of here with all that nonsense.
So
Out
you
of here
say?
with that noise. It was I would just shake my head. I'm too messed up right now and just too tired from yesterday with this. So I just shake my head and just go away. Go away with you.
He's like, "Are you sure? We're gonna come to a way station pretty soon, I'm sure. And that 300 gold, that'll give you like a good five healing potions if they've got them."
Question before I answer. How does this thing work again?
So
Can I use it, or?
Yep.
You said it was like a
drift globes.
Like...
You just say a command word, and you can cause them to shed light or daylight spell. They hover off the ground. At a basic level, they hover about 5 feet off the ground, and then they follow you within 60 feet, and they will, essentially listen to your command. No.
And you don't need to have an innate, magical ability to use it?
Nope.
You can just speak a word that's my choice?
Let me just double check, but I'm almost positive. I'm just pretty sure you can just use them.
Because otherwise I'm just going to hang on to it. Because although I have, no money, I also don't have any magical items. So,
Yep. So it's a small glass sphere, thick glass, weighs about 1 pound. If you're within 60 feet of it, so you can place it down and then walk, 50 feet away, you can speak its command word and cause it to emanate the light or daylight spell. Once used, the daylight effect can't be used again until the next dawn. So it sounds like you can use light for as long as you want, but daylight, from what I understand, it lasts an hour for the daylight spell. You can speak another command word as an action to make the illuminated globe rise into the air and float no more than 5 feet off the ground, and then the globe hovers in this way until you or another creature grasps it. If you move more than 60 feet from it, it will follow you until it's within 60 feet, but it does take the shortest route to do so.
It's like a pet.
If it's prevented from moving, it will sink gently to the ground and become inactive, and the light will go out.
So it's like a light puppy that I can command.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. So and just to make sure, I don't need any kind of magical ability.
Nope. It
I can
says
just-
no. It's just a thing
Do
anybody
you
can
need
use.
to know the? And you don't need to know the word.
You can make up the word.
Ooh, what word?
It's the word.
Oh well, no, I'll just use. I'm not gonna
Bird,
actually
bird.
make a bird's a word. No, I'll.
No, you should make one
I
up.
meant more like
Illuminate.
I don't need the actual. It's not like somebody pre-programmed.
No.
I can program it, quote unquote, myself.
Right.
I'm gonna tell him no. Not for sale.
He's like, all right,
Skeezy
your
one.
call. And he's done with you, so he just gets up and walks away.
Hey. Oh, sorry.
Hmm?
Yelling at my dog.
So,
Okay. All
I
right.
have a leash on. Put a leash on my globe and take it for.
Alrighty. So, ooh. Okay. So you guys all kind of are packing up for the day's journey. It's like I said, a little bit of an overcast day. Everyone is a little bit more quiet today as they're still kind of getting over the crazy, like, sharp-toothed flying deer that tried to kill several of them. But yeah, is there anything you wanted to do before?
I actually have a question. You mentioned last session that when it was attacking me, that it pulled my armor away. Did it damage the armor, like so it's non-repairable?
No, not
Is it
in.
actually damaged? Is it just did it break a strap? How far did it?
No, it was simple enough to fix overnight. Nothing crazy that damaged the armor.
Okay.
All right, so you guys continue on your way, and Rachel's face.
He's
So you
gonna
can,
wake up a baby.
yeah,
a long rest now, right?
yep,
Yes.
yep.
So we're back up.
And actually, you'll have several long rests because we're going to skip ahead several days. As you continue through the fields of the dead, it's an interesting sight. You do see like little makeshift markers and gravestones and whatnot, and you're typically pretty quiet. The whole group. The cultist wagons, or what you believe to be the cultist wagons, are leading the charge up ahead. The three of them stay at the front as much as they can, and let's see here.
Do they seem to be more of in a hurry than what is customary on this type of trip, or they just want to be in like ahead?
They're not in a hurry per se. I mean, they haven't given any indication. Like, you've seen definitely on like day 3 when you ran into the merchant and everything, like they didn't look too happy to be hanging out for the day. while you waited for the Wolfram to come back. But they're not trying to hurry you guys along. They have more of a like an overt annoyance, but they're not trying to push you guys or anything. It's really kind of important that the group stays together, and you get the impression that they know it, even if they have ulterior motives for getting where they need to be. So they're not putting you in any danger or anything. All right, so several more days goes by, and let's see. I'm just gonna roll a random. Where is my...
It's weird on D&D Beyond. If you tried it, they have that new thing where the dice just pop up on that screen instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's actually where I'm rolling right now.
So will it still let you to connect to Roll20?
Yeah, but it's a little less intuitive. Like you have to kind of click through to get to where you need it to be. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna roll this. Rolling this one. All right, so most of the day goes by, and you find yourself on your 10th day of your journey, and you're getting closer and closer. So you can see off in the distance that you're getting closer to the Boriskir Bridge. And again, Micaiah, you would be familiar with this bridge. This is the bridge that if you come from El Terrell and go straight up the tradeway, you cross over the winding water, and that brings you up towards Waterdeep. You're kind of far away at the moment, but this bridge is made of black granite, and from your distance, you're several miles away, but you can see a couple of large statues, one on your end of the river, and then like just a faint, view of one on the other side. There's also a keep on your side of the river. And as you're kind of turning this corner with all of your wagons, suddenly you see the wagon with Argos, the human guy, and Wexler, the head guard, and everything. It catches on the side of a corner that you guys are all turning together, and the wagon, the wheel cracks and breaks, and then the wagon tilts, and a bunch of crates and everything fall over and fall out of the wagon. There's a bunch of crates, they tumble free of it, and you can see the other two. So we'll say that there's two wagons ahead, and then the third wagon is the one that fell over. And almost immediately you see a bunch of the cultists kind of, or the individuals on the cultist wagon, some of whom you believe are cultists, and then the mercenaries jump off, and they try to gather up the stuff that has fallen out. And the rest of the caravan obviously has to stop while this happens, because they were kind of leading the charge. So you guys watch as Argos is like, oh, and he kind of tumbles over, and you watch Wexler and Braxton, the hill dwarf, comes like running over, and all there are a couple of crates that have busted open and stuff has fallen out.
And can we see what the contents of
Can we see what's in it?
that
I
is?
was gonna say.
You're a couple of wagons back, but you can definitely get closer if anybody wants to. You do see, so Bade is up there, and he hops off of his wagon, and he starts heading over to help them. And Aldor does not. He's kind of just up on his horse. And you watch Braxton kind of comes over to Bade and holds it, looks up at him and holds his hand out, and he's like, "No thanks, we don't need the help."
Makaya's gonna try to stealth over there so that they don't see, but see if she can see anything.
Okay, just roll a stealth check.
Oh my god, real dice. This is the greatest thing ever. I'm so excited right now. Oh shit.
No.
7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you're trying to go around, while Braxton is, he's like stopping Bade, he has his hand up, and so you head around the other side of the wagon and start walking over to see, the halfling who was on Braxton's wagon, the Murray the Scarred, who's like the little halfling who's like covered in tattoos. He suddenly just kind of like steps out in front of you. You almost trip on him, and he's like, "I think we've got it, but thanks." And he looks up at you.
Oh, darling, I was just trying to offer my assistance.
He's like, "I
I'm
appreciate
sorry.
it, but I think
Are you
we're
sure
all
you don't
set."
need any help? I mean, a lot of stuff fell over there. What's over there? I'm gonna try to peek around him. What you got over there?
You can make a perception check, because I was gonna say with disadvantage, but he's shorter than you, much shorter than you. So he's like,
14. I got a 14.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
so 14, you can see, as a bunch of them are like gathering things up, you can see stuff like glittering it on the ground that they're gathering and everything, but you haven't quite seen enough to see exactly what the glittering is.
Shine.
Is anyone else doing anything?
Zan would like to stealth up just so he can get a closer look to see what they're bringing through.
Right. You can give me a stealth check too.
25.
All right. Yeah. So you are able, as these other two are distracting them, you are able to kind of sneak through and come around the carts. And when you get closer, you can see that one of the crates has smashed open, and then there are dozens of very beautiful and intricate jewelry items that are wrapped around, like they've tumbled out of some like wool wrapping, and you can see the cultists are trying very quickly to gather what they can, and I have to just look at names here. So Philok, who is the human female who's wearing those Kathja leathers, she was on that wagon, and you remember that Argos, when you guys had like asked him, or when conversation had come up in the beginning about what they were transporting, he was like, "Oh, I'm just selling this and that." He hadn't really given any indication about what they had. Unlike the others who said they were selling pottery and paintings and art, and the other one who said he was, or Cormina, who's the Wagon G, was selling furniture and stuff like that. This one you weren't quite sure, and so Philok, you can see, is like inspecting the wagon, and she's like, "Oh man, this is not good." While the rest of them are gathering, it only takes them a couple of minutes to gather everything and put it back into the crates. And once they do that, you see, like in your example, for Micaiah, you see Murray kind of glance over at Braxton, who like gives a little nod, and then as the crates have been closed and everything, so, like they kind of step back and are like, "Well, we appreciate it. I don't know if anybody can help us with fixing this wagon. It looks pretty bad. And then they go over, and doesn't look like any of them really know what to do in this moment.
Seeing as that they let him through, Zan is gonna come forward and offer to help fix the wagon. He has woodcutter's tools, so he's proficient in woodworking.
Okay. So let's see here. So Philok, she kind of like steps back and she's like, if there's anything I can do to help, we do have an extra wagon wheel, and she kind of, you see a couple of people start clearing away the old one. They inspect the rest of the wagon to make sure that there's nothing else broken on it. You do see, while you're helping to fix this wagon wheel, you do see Braxton is like not happy. He hasn't looked happy most of this time, but you guys are like, dwarves. But he also, like, right now is just really mad, and he's kind of looking around at everybody just to see who's looking. And I don't know who's, let's see, paying attention here, but let's say Erdnot, you can give a perception check. What was it? You cut out. You don't show up on my audio for the first second that you talk most of the time.
14.
14?
Yeah.
Okay. So you notice a couple of people in the rest of the caravan who kind of are like looking and peeking. You can see like Green Imsa is kind of like over in the corner, just like trying to see what it is that they had. You can also see the quiet Seralim brother, Selvek, the mute, who looks like he's paying attention, and Lida, the guard from Ed Hellery's wagon. She looks like she's also kind of like doing a little side eye to see what it is that they had in that wagon. Ed Hellery is not. She's actually like petting her horses and making sure that they're okay, as you guys all have to sit there and wait for the wagon to be fixed. Is anyone doing anything else during this time? It takes a while. It takes a good like 2 hours to fix everything, pull everything off that's broken.
Do they expect people to not like look at them?
Huh?
It takes 2 hours, and they expect people not to like sit there and look at them.
Well, you just are getting this impression from Braxton, like he's kind of looking around at everybody to see who's looking.
Yeah, or not just kind of sitting up on the thing like this.
Is Minxie doing anything to help?
No, Minxie doesn't help. I mean, she helped gather
far?
like the jewelry, but then she kind of went off to the side and was like looking for stuff in the you're kind of, there's a few trees on either side, so she went over to some of the trees to see, and she's like looking at moss and things like that on the tree.
These
I'm going.
statues that you mentioned.
You're several miles away. Like you can see it, but you're probably like 4 miles. It right now it looks like a straight shot, and you'll start to converge onto the Tradeway Road, and then get to the bridge. And Micaiah also would know that there is a kind of like market. There's like a town almost that popped up around that bridge with a keep there, that is guarded by the paladins of Eltergard. So the what were they called? They were called the Order of the Champion, the ones that had joined the fire. No, what is no? The Flaming Fist is Baldur's Gate. The Hell Riders, I believe, in El Terrell.
These sound like the coolest biker gangs.
Mhm.
Flaming Fist, the Hell Riders.
Yeah, so you know that
Send
there's,
you-
huh?
Did I send you my map of where Erdnot has been? Because this I believe is the furthest north. You've never been to Waterdeep. I think this marketplace town near the bridge is the furthest north that he's been.
Okay.
Did I send you that map or no?
Nope.
No, because he hasn't gone this way through the fields of the dead, because that just sounds stupid. But he's gone up the trade road.
Yeah. So yeah, that would make more sense. He wouldn't. There's no real reason to go to the bridge unless you're going to try to sell things for a profit, because it's not a very it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and when you get there you kind of have to buy stuff typically, so there's no bartering or anything. You pay top prices there, so that would really be the only reason why he would go up that way. And so he would go the trade way, not through the fields of the dead.
Nobody let Eric buy any rope there, okay?
I'm done buying rope. I want to position my horse off to the side and just kind of try to keep an eye out on one side of the wagon train for any trouble that might come from the tree line.
Okay. All right.
I guess I'll take the left side. If anybody wants to take the other side.
He's looking to the skies, holding his heart.
Yeah, I'm getting chest pangs. You know.
So Zan, as you're fixing it, Philok is definitely helping you, and James kind of seems to be, he's kind of hovering. He's helping a little bit, but he's not. He's more hovering and kind of seems to be hanging out closer to Philok the whole time. Wexler is over off to the side, just kind of watching, not getting his hands dirty per se. And as I mentioned, like Minxie is inspecting plants, and a couple of the others are just kind of meandering around while Braxton is keeping guard. So Philok is like, "Thanks, I really appreciate this help." And James would like pipe up like, "Yeah, thanks, thank you, we appreciate it." He seems like a follower a little bit.
We're all on the same road. We have to travel together. We have to work together as long as we're on the road. It's always good to keep fortunes going forward.
Yeah, I hear that. Let's see. All right, so after a couple of hours, you guys are able to like pull the wagon back up onto the road. Looks sturdy. It looks like you can make it to your next destination, which is the tent city, essentially, the little city with the keep that has popped up at Oriskir Bridge. So as you get closer, you can see that this bridge is made of black granite, as Micaiah would have and Erdnot would have described it. You can see that there's this trading community all around. There's white tents, there's corrals, there's blacksmiths. It's like a loud, bustling marketplace. People are coming in through the tradeway. And then you can also see a keep that is very obviously manned by those paladins of Eltergard. So since you are here, so as you get closer, you can see the god. I have to see how he's Cyric, who is the god of strife and lies. He is he is on your side of the river. So it's like this large statue of him. He's known as the Prince of Lies, or the Black Sun. And Micaiah, you would have also described or let them know that on the other side is a large statue to Baal, or Behal actually, who is the lord of murder, the god of death. And so on either side of these of this river are just these like very powerful, not so nice deities that look over either side.
Sounds like a real joyous place.
Ain't my gods.
Yeah, so it's actually a very bustling and kind of like enjoyable area to be in. It's just these gods are there because of like the history of the
I was
area.
Does it look like dwarvish work, these statues, or is it like shoddy human work?
No, it's not dwarvish work. Definitely not.
Shoddy human work.
So is there anything that you would like to purchase while you're here, or attempt to purchase?
We like stopping here for like how long?
Well, I guess that depends. Did you want to try to propose staying?
God damn it, Banana.
I'm sorry. She got me too. I'm sorry.
Fuck.
They keep coming.
That's what she said.
Oh.
Well, we are in the city of thieves.
I mean, hopefully.
Hopefully.
So as you are pulling up to here, so you see Green Imsa actually comes up to you, Abaddon, and she's like, "Did you happen to catch a glimpse of what they have in that cart? I think I saw jewelry."
Jewelry?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Did you get close enough to see?
No, they were
What
packing
the-
it up really, really, really fast, but I'm pretty sure I saw like a bunch of jewels, at least in the cart with whatever his name is, the Argos, that guy. Like, I can't be sure the other ones, but definitely I saw some jewelry.
Mm. So weird they won't talk about it, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, maybe you wouldn't really say that you've got a bunch of really nice jewelry when you're traveling with a bunch of strangers. I mean, I guess that makes sense. But still, that was a lot of jewelry.
Whoa. Yeah. That was a lot.
I want to get a closer look. I wonder what kinds of stuff they have in there.
Well, if you find out, let me know. She kind of like hops down from the wagon that was up near you and then goes back to the wagon that she was on.
Would Micaiah be able to just like browse around and see if she recognizes like any of the glittering around that reminiscent of what she saw them picking up? See if they're selling anything like that, or if
Oh, you
they're
mean
trying to sell that.
See if they like missed anything?
Yeah, like did they leave anything behind?
You can make an investigation check.
That's 3, so that's definitely not happening.
You kind
They
of
cleaned up so good.
Yeah, before you, as they all kind of set off, you like hang back a little bit before you guys make your way to the bridge, and you do a quick scan because when you look up at a certain point, you can see that Braxton has still like stopped and is looking at you. So you just do a really quick look and you don't see anything, but you can see that the dwarf is paying attention to how much other people are paying attention.
More like Bratson.
Good one. So yeah, then you guys head off and arrive at the bustling trade town at the bridge, and And again, just double checking and see if anybody wanted to try to purchase anything or.
I can't because I have no money.
Oh.
Is the lawyer within
Nope,
earshot of us?
I'll say that generally he's like just ahead of the cart that's ahead of you, so he's probably about like 30 feet or so ahead. He's not close enough to like overhear a whispered conversation, but if you were like loudly talking, he could hear it if he was listening.
Not knowing that the dude has been really wanting Edgar's ball, he's going to very loudly, deliberately say to turn to Edgar and say, "Wow, wow, I heard myself. That's weird." It's like that fellow offered 600 gold for your orb.
You do see Aldor's horse kind of like, you see him twitch a little bit, and you see the horse kind of slow just a hair, and like gets a little bit closer to your your wagon, your cart.
We noticed this, right?
Yeah, you see him, like you're looking at him, I assume, while you're doing this on purpose. So like you see him just slow, just slightly. It's not, no one else would probably be paying attention to it, but and he doesn't turn his head or anything. He's just clomping along.
And I very loudly again say, "Are you going to take the offer?"
Suppose I'm not sure Arik would actually catch on to the subterfuge thing, the whole, trying to. But I'd probably just look at him for a second. Like Arik would look at Erdnot kind of confused for a split second, and then
And then
catch on and
Erdnot
say,
would point at the back of the horse's ass, carrying the horse's ass.
and I'd say, yes, 600 sounds about right. Yeah, I think that's a good deal. And I'd just be like all flustered because I don't exactly know what the hell he's talking about. Even though he's doing this to the back of his horse. Eric's just like,
All right.
rocket. I'm rocking that 9 intelligence score.
Trying to help you out. Get some
I know.
loot, get some cash.
I know. 600 is in the ballpark. That's sounds about right.
So as you you don't get any additional reaction from him. He just kind of stays within earshot of you for a little bit, and then if you don't continue, then he moves forward again.
Would anybody else in the group have any knowledge of the worth of I'm so sorry,
Drift
what is this thing
globes.
called again? Drift globes. Does anybody else know how much they would actually be worth? Because I have no clue. But since people might be from some local cities, maybe they'd have an idea.
It's not a very common item that most people would come across. So, let's see here. In terms of price, I mean, people would know what it does, but not necessarily the price.
I didn't know if it was like a whole thing or something.
No, it's kind of uncommon for like you all. It wouldn't necessarily be something that you would have like looked up. Like Abaddon probably would know what it is, but not how much it costs, for example.
All right, just because I'm playing it as if I've never seen one since
Yeah.
he's so far away. So,
Yeah, he probably would have like seen his first one in the in
Antlers Tavern.
Yeah, in El Terrell.
What? Oh, those were those things that were floating
Yeah,
around.
they were floating higher.
I didn't
So
put 2 and 2 together.
yeah, they were floating higher in the El Terrell Tavern. So that's probably likely due to additional enchantments that have been put on them. But the basic is that it only floats about 5 feet off the ground. All right,
I'm gonna
so
throw a wink. I'm gonna throw a wink over at Erdnot for trying to set that up for a layup that he just Arik just totally didn't understand. Like, hey, thanks, buddy. Trying to pay me back for that scroll that I gave.
all right.
Sorry.
Did the two that weren't playing on Saturday, did you take note that I think everybody was given 2 potions of healing from the
Yeah.
bag? Keep on yourselves.
Got him.
Okay. And I don't know if we want to buy any more potions here.
We still
It's up
have
to you
6
guys.
more regular healing potions in the bag, and one. I think
Greater.
it's a superior. Is it a greater? It was either a greater or superior.
I'm not sure.
I think a
Yeah, and
greater
just
sounds
for-
right. Superior, I don't know that.
And just for consideration, so everybody knows,
Yeah, greater.
Erdnot has a new scroll, like a spell scroll now, that he can use, that we found on a body. Couldn't remember what it was, but it was something that only he could.
Thunderous Smite.
So that's right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Smite.
So as you guys pull up to this this trade town, actually the Hoper, he kind of hangs out near the back of the caravan, and you guys kind of hear him yell out like, "I propose that we spend the night, if that's all right with everyone." And the caravan starts to slow down as you're entering the outskirts of the trade town.
Who's saying this?
The Hoper, the big, jolly, tall, fat human guy, who kind of hangs out in the
Oh,
and the
okay.
one who's got the porcelain.
Wagon D.
Yes, Wagon D.
Okay.
Um,
Like I have the screen up just so I try. Like when you say a name, I'm like, who the fuck is this, and what wagon does it belong to?
Samadag the Hoper. And you see others kind of like nod their heads. Nuhar signs to his brother, and his brother nods, and the group all starts to create a little, what would that be called? Like a ring, I guess. That's a normal word that my brain can't remember anymore. A ring of the wagons, as you guys have been doing, just outside of this trade town, to just set up for the night.
3 groups.
Yeah, your normal kind of like 3 groups. And this is pretty common. You can see others doing this as well. This is a bustling area where a lot of people come to gather supplies before they head either up to Waterdeep or back down to El Terrell and Scornabel and all those other places. So,
We take a look around and see if we recognize any other cult people that might already be here. Like, are the cult wagons like meeting up with the people here, or does it look like there's any more cult activity here? I just asked 3 things, I think.
make a, let's see. Make an investigation check.
I have a +1 on that. I don't suck with it.
How big is this town?
21.
It's a pretty decent size. I mean, it's not like the type of town that is going to be. It's a trade town, so there's like tent taverns like there were outside of Blackgate or in Blackgate. There are like blacksmiths that are set up, but it's not like the kind of town where you like raise a family type thing.
So we're not looking at like a greenest or something.
No.
No, I'm just gonna see if there's like, if there's like any signs of, because I mean, the whole cult is not marching through this way. I guess I'm asking like if we're noticing that they're just trickling in via caravan. If any are meeting them up here, or if there's any presence of them here as they go up north. Is what my role, I guess, questions.
Yeah, so besides during the day that you spend here, kind of wandering around looking at the different vendors and seeing what they have, you're keeping an eye out for any faces that look familiar to you from your time in the Raiders camp that night, a very long night. And you do catch a glimpse here and there of faces that you think look familiar, and you can't quite place them. If you didn't know who Kathja's shadow was and who those mercenaries were, there wouldn't be anything about the people that you're currently with that would give it away that they are with the cult that you're traveling with. So besides that like weird feeling that you have about a couple of them that you can't quite place them but they look familiar, you wouldn't know that even the ones that are with you are cultists. There's nothing outwardly marking them. They're not like wearing any kind of like those headpieces or any black with the
Right,
flowy.
yeah.
So looking around this trade town, it's similar. You're seeing faces and you're like, that could have been somebody who was there, but there's nothing overtly marking anybody. So you get the feeling that you are seeing some people that you probably saw in the camp, but you can't be 100%.
I look around and see if that chick is still smiling at me.
Which chick?
The one that keeps what the hell's her name? Oh,
Oh,
wrong screen.
Philok, the Kathja's shadow.
Yeah. She keeps throwing the weird, creepy smile. So
Oh.
I have yet to figure out how to approach that.
At the moment, you actually don't see her. At the moment, she's not with her wagon.
Mr. Chance,
Is there-
buddy.
Well, she's human. She's gross. I just have to formulate it to figure out why she's smiling at me. Because I'm afraid it's not good. Is there a meat on a stick shop anywhere around here?
Yes, there is.
Or not good. Where's James? Does he see James?
You don't see James either.
Damn it.
Ooh.
Alright, well, he's still gonna buy 2 meats on a stick.
Okay, that's gonna be
I'll take one of those.
it's a 1
3 meats on
silver.
a stick.
Okay, so 1.5 silver, 1 silver, 5 copper.
Alright.
DM.
Yeah.
Do you mean that when you like they're not with their wagons, like their wagons have set up?
Yep, everybody's
Like,
kind of set up, but
Everybody's set up.
if you're looking for James and Philok, you do not see them.
Okay.
Micaiah, a meat on a stick. And I have my 2 meats on a stick.
And I assume you're eating them.
Damn right.
Mm-hmm.
Been eating horse jerky and rations for the last few days.
So you do
I
see.
say that when we do this in-person thing, that we have meat on a stick. I don't even care if it's like breaded chicken tenders.
Put it in the
that we,
chat.
like, put on like some popsicle sticks or something. But like some kind of meat has to be on some kind of stick. That's all I'm
I think we
saying.
can arrange that.
I like it.
All right, I like that idea. Okay.
DM, is everybody else kind of staying with their carts, or did they leave their carts and everybody's headed into like the tradey, busier areas?
So the merchants and the travelers go off into the trade town and kind of like mess around a little bit. The guards stay with their wagons. You notice that the cultists wagons, nobody leaves them. Nobody heads off. Like maybe one person at a time will head off, but they don't leave their wagons with just like one guard each. They have multiple people still there, except for, like I said, Philok and James. But Aldor heads right into the trade town. You see Radisir, actually the quiet rock gnome, he heads in there. the two brothers, Nuhar and Selvek, they head in too, and Green Imsa, she stays because she doesn't really want to call attention to herself in this trade town where she doesn't know how she'll be. What's the word I'm looking for? Received. There's the word. I'm telling you, like my lack of
Otherwise
sleep
known as judged.
over the past 5 years, I like lost every word in my vocabulary. But Orvustia and Solistag, the Pole, they hang out at Samardag's porcelain wagon and are chatting with each other. But yeah, that's one thing that you do notice is that while some of the people with the other wagons are willing to go into the trade, the cultists do not. They don't leave their stuff open.
So, is our group separated now that Micaiah and Erdy have gone to go get meat?
So the rest of you would be by the carts, so you know, keep up appearances.
Yeah, that's
No, that's what I'm saying, because you guys just took off. So I'm saying I was going to say we should probably stay by the cart before going
That's
into
because
town or anything.
obviously I'm his favorite bodyguard, so he took me while he went to go get meat on a stick. Duh.
Duh.
There.
I'm not
I'll,
sure if they had
I'll
that
get-
word back then, but duh.
Well,
I'll
Eckert's still recovering from a sore heart, I'd imagine.
I'm fine. I was fine that day. Remember, I took that big deep breath with my second wind, and I was fine.
His chest
just
just
a
popped
heart.
back out.
Yeah, who
So
needs a
no
heart,
more
right?
sweetheart, huh? It's more like a
Sweetheart.
like a heart. It's
More
a
like-
bitter heart.
Like a heart attack. I'd probably stick by the cot on my horse and
Cat.
just keep an eye out. Make sure.
Sticking
Sounded
by
like
the
it's a
cat over in Harvard Yard
Cat.
by the horse.
And you do see
Yeah.
that Fade, the half-elf merchant who's selling beer and ale, he is offering half off on his ale. You know that his whole thing was that he was going to sell to travelers. He doesn't plan on like going anywhere. By the time he gets to Waterdeep, he wants to be done with his beer and ale. So if anybody wants any beer or ale, it's half off. So 2 copper for a mug.
Oh yes, Micaiah needs some ale to go with her meat on a stick.
We came
She's coming
back
back.
with the meat, and
They saw the sign
on
the
the
cart.
I would
was like,
say
"Ooh,
loudly
30, look,
enough
it's
so
half
that
off."
anybody listening would hear. I would let the rest of my guards know that they can go into the market in shifts,
Okay. So
and then Makai and I are gonna go get some ale.
all right.
Let's go get some ale, Erdy.
All right.
What is Braxton doing?
Braxton is looking
Braxton.
angrily at everybody. He's like in his he seems to be taking this the most seriously out of everyone. But he's sitting in their little semicircle and just kind of like brooding a little bit. He keeps like getting up to inspect the wagon that broke earlier and just like keeps looking over everything, just double checking the wheel. He keeps like going and looking up the crates and just like double checking that they're nice and tightly hammered down. Then he'll go back and sit down for a while before kind of getting up again and then checking like another wagon, then going back to the one that broke. Like he's just like a little
So
paranoid.
he has like some OCD about making sure like everything's all right.
Yeah. Now he does.
Ernot's gonna buy 2 things of ale,
So he
and
has
he's gonna bring one over to
PTSD.
Braxton.
Okay.
Ooh.
So
He
Oil him up.
So he just approaches them and does a dwarfly greeting of a strong nod, and then holds out the second one and says, The half elf is offering his piss water at half off.
He looks at you. It's not a friendly look at all, but he takes the ale. He doesn't like say thank you or anything. He just has it in his hand, and just looks at you, and then like nods and like kind of grunts a little bit. What?
I said Erdnot's good at that too. So he will grunt and nod as well. And then, obviously, knowing that he's a hill dwarf, I say, it's like, so what clan do you hail from?
He looks at you and he's like, you haven't heard of us, I'm sure. He sits down. He doesn't offer you a seat, but he just like takes a sip of the ale.
True. The clans are spread far and wide.
He's not making.
What is he selling?
Huh?
Erdnot doesn't care. So he's selling art and pottery.
That's what he said, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can kind of see it.
Right.
You can see that there's like paintings, pottery, artifacts and stuff in the wagon. That one is not. There's some that's crated and like boxed away, but others are, clearly there.
So, looking at the art and potteries, I say, it's like, are you the crafter of these?
He looks back at the cart and then looks at you and he's like, no, just selling it. Drinks.
Looks like shite. I could tell a dwarf didn't make them.
He goes, that's right.
Let's see. Who else is in?
There's no accounting for taste, though. And he nods.
Aye. And taking another swig, I go, half orc guard, eh?
Yeah, so her croc, she's standing over. She can like hear you because she's right there. But he
doesn't care.
Yeah, I know. He looks over at her and he just nods, grunts again. She looks over at you, kind of grunts too. A lot of grunting going on.
Her talking to him, saying, "Bold choice."
Well, they're strong. That's what you need on the road. And you see
Aye,
her.
apparently so.
You see her behind you. She goes like.
See, and then who else is in the dude? This is dwarf small talk.
Yeah.
And
painfully slow.
Hey, I'm trying to read and figure this out. Okay, so he only has one Katja shadow with him, James, right? Yeah. Okay. So the guy yelling at him was not in his wagon.
No, so Wexler is in the other wagon. The wagon that fell. He wasn't on the wagon. He was on the side of it on his horse, but he's on that one. And Philok is also on that wagon. Wexler is over near the wagon that's broken. That was broken. Not broken anymore.
Fine. What does red shirts mean on this list? Does that literally mean they're wearing a red shirt, or does that mean like they're gonna get like vaporized or something?
Yeah, that's just they're the red shirts.
Expendables.
They're not the head guard. They're the red shirts of the group.
Okay. And then I say like, what about the human boy? Odd choice for a guard.
He looks up and he's like, I didn't choose him. That's what the mercenary gave me. That's why I've got her. And he nods back to Herkrock, who's still listening. She's like kind of leaned up against the wagon, just listening to you guys.
I've not heard of this mercenary group before. They any good?
He's like, why? You gonna hire them?
If they prove their worth, I have a pretty solid group of warriors that I have with me.
He's like, well,
But I'm always looking for better.
he's like, well, they're still alive, and so are we. So that accounts for something.
Aye, so far.
Just my chest absent-mindedly.
They're not turns, raises his glass and says, may Morden bless you and your ale. And walks away.
And he just raises his little mug and takes a sip. Then he gets back up and he goes over to inspect the wagon again. Alright, did anybody want to buy anything, or we're moving on from the trade town?
I would have stuck with the wagon.
Okay.
A, because I have no money, and B, I have to keep up that. So I'll just stick with the wagon. If anybody else wants to go check out shops or anything, at least we know our stuff
Nothing?
won't get stolen.
Okay.
No? Okay.
Alright.
Abaddon doesn't want to look for spell scrolls or anything.
Nah.
Alright, so the next morning, you all pack up again.
Can I just say real quick, that whole back and forth with Braxton, all I'm thinking in my head is the Grinch. He's like, he tells like a joke. Goes, tough crowd. Like, it felt like trying to get information out of him.
So you guys head off on your way, and now you're along the road, which is better. It's better than it had been. It's still a dangerous trek, heading up from the bridge on your way to Waterdeep, but it's not the Fields of the Dead. You're not trying to walk through grooves that were just made in the hillside and hoping that your wagons don't break. You're actually on the road, and I'm pulling up my
Like multiple caravans now that we're on a road, or are we still kind of pretty isolated?
No, so yes, as you're traveling, you'll come across like caravans passing you. There'll be horses that will pass you with just like a single rider, or maybe carts that are not quite so full of stuff that are heading up that way. So it's a little bit easier on this path here. You know that it gets even easier once you get up to Dragon Spear, but that's still quite a ways away. Let me just double check how far away that is. It is, 220 miles. So you're looking at a good another 10 days or so, or more. So as you continue on, so we'll say it's midday on like your 20th day. So another 10-day has passed. And Arik, I'm gonna have you roll your d10.
Which one?
Bless you, darling.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, little heart.
Bless your little heart. In your horns too.
5.
So you have a night full of nightmares, which seems to be almost every night at this point. But you do get to sleep. Nice. So the next morning,
So There's no exhaustion points or anything like that.
Nope, no exhaustion today.
But did you develop like insomnia or something on this trip, or is this just something you always
No,
have?
this is new. You guys would have
Did it-
noticed that there are some nights
Oh.
where Arik wakes up screaming, and there are other nights where he just looks like he's had a rough night. Since the aging.
Haunted by the things that
Could have
were
been.
and the things that could have been and things that may be.
Yep.
I see them. I see them in my dreams.
Old balls? Like, what's going on?
What'd you
So-
say?
Said you get stuck with old balls?
No.
They
Just
rejuvenated
really bad-
everything but that. You just got these saggy old balls.
That'll keep you up at night.
No. See, the funny thing is that lady, that's what she
Terrifies
rejuvenated
me.
the most. She rejuvenated that the most.
That's why I'm
So,
talking like this.
So, so you wake up so you wake up in the morning. It's a pretty nice day out for everyone. You've had a very uneventful past 10 days, which has just been very nice, like just getting to know people and chatting. The cult hasn't been overly enthusiastic to hang out with you, but Abaddon, you've kind of hung out with Minxie a little bit here and there, and she is showing you like different plants and stuff, but when she tells you what they are, you're like, no, that's not what that is. But you just kind of like play along. Let's see here. So the morning of the 20th day, Arik, as you're kind of like wake up and you're going through your things and making sure everything is there, and you notice that your drift globe is gone.
Oh shit! Someone gonna die.
Okay. Problem.
What are you gonna do? Get him.
All right. So we're in camp right now.
Yep, so you just kind of like went through all your stuff. The camp is beginning the daily routine of packing up to get ready to head on your way, and that's when you notice, as you do your morning double check, that the globe's not there.
Okay. I'm gonna go find Mr. Lawyer Boy.
Okay. You find him
let's go
easily
find him.
enough. He's actually just woken up, and he is he's with the other group of wagons, the other two wagons, and he's just gathering all of his stuff up, and he looks up at you and he's like, so did you change your mind? Gonna take my offer?
Funny thing you ask. It's actually missing. Know anything about that?
He gives you this like kind of, are you joking? What do you mean it's missing? Wait, hold on. Are you coming over here to accuse me of stealing?
It's exactly what I'm doing.
So, as this conversation happens, you see, so Eldkin, who is the guard there, she kind of like slowly walks over because she can see that Aldor is starting to get a little flustered, and Lasvius, the halfling teamster, he's kind of like, he's putting stuff together on the cart, but he stops and kind of just like, and Aldor stands up and he's like, listen, I don't steal. I don't steal anything. I can pay for what I need. I don't appreciate being called a thief either.
No.
You're a lawyer. You've been called worse. Shut up. And I would say that too. That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what Arik says.
He just shakes his
Alright,
head.
then who else around here would know that I had that?
Are you asking me or are you asking him?
I mean, I guess I mean, I guess I could ask you as the DM, because I mean, I wasn't exactly brandishing it.
Yeah, you don't know.
Wasn't James
All right,
there?
well, I guess I would ask him.
He's like, how am I supposed to know? I don't keep track of your stuff. I offered you good money for that. You decided not to take it. Not my problem. I didn't keep track of it after that. What about that dwarf? Didn't he say something about someone offering you 600 gold? Why don't you go ask that person? Since it seems you didn't sell it to him.
I would lean in close. Eric would lean in close and say that if I find out that you took it, it'll be your head following me 60 feet behind.
He just
And then I would turn and walk away.
he shakes his head and then he looks over at Eldkin and Eldkin comes over. She's like, what is that about? And they have a little like, he accused me of stealing. Like, oh.
Some playground shit, right? Well, they took my little glow puppy. I'm not happy. I had one magical thing and they had to take it from me. I'd go back to the group and just kind of inform everybody that it was missing.
Yep, so now you all know that somebody...
Fuck!
I mean, are we all tented close together, or are people sharing tents? Like, what is our sleeping arrangements?
We have 4 tents between all of us, so some people have to double up.
Okay, so do we know if you were doubled up? Because then that means somebody... If you were in the tent with somebody else, then you both would have missed that someone came in and took it.
True. I mean, I'm assuming I would have been shacked up with one of you guys. Snuggle buddies.
I'm assuming you and
Who wants to draw the who wants to draw the short straw? All right, Zen. I call Big Spoon.
Yep. So, I know it's 10:35, so I'm sure you guys want to go to bed. But yeah, so it's the 20th day. Your drift globe is gone. You kind of look around the camp area at all of the people who are there, and just have this like, somebody here stole something right out from my shit, like while I was asleep or when I went to the bathroom, and you're just kind of like looking at everybody in the camp. You look at Orvustia, who you haven't really talked to that much, like the young guard who's at Samardag's. And then, like, you look over at the pole, he's kind of always hanging out with her, but they're just chatting. You look at him, he doesn't really pay any attention to you. You look over at Green Imsa, who's kind of like over in a corner by herself, just looking sad today. And Warand, who's the teamster with Samardag, and they're like laughing and joking. And you just kind of like go through all of the carts looking at everyone. You keep going back to Aldor, but now he's kind of giving you like stink eye. And he looks really pissed.
Use your intimidation
Fuck
on
that.
him, man.
Fuck that guy.
But yeah, you guys,
That's alright.
you're not sure. You don't know.
Yeah.
I'm putting my money on that that mentally impaired halfling.
Yeah, you look over at the cult wagon and you can see Minxie. She's
It's actually
like,
good.
like still dancing. You don't know where she gets all the energy from. And you guys still
Drugs.
aren't really
It's
sure
drugs.
like why she's with them. But she's there. She's like really, so she's a teamster on that wagon. And when she is like in charge of making sure that those horses get where they need to be, she is very focused. It's just like the moment she's no longer like behind the wheel, she's like off on her own, doing her own thing. No.
She's not behind the wheel. She is not behind the wheel.
No. So we'll stop on day 20. As you guys got a glimpse into the kinds of things that the cult is transporting.
What they're capable of stealing property.
How could they?
And are now
How
down a drift globe.
Ah,
And we'll have to
Well-
figure out how you get it back.
promised the lawyer if it was him, I was gonna cut his head off. So sorry, guys. I keep my word. So if he took it, he dies.
And as you're looking around
No.
at the different, as you're looking at the different carts and everything and scanning, you look over and there's fucking Braxton. He's just looking at you, like mad. just mad, and he's looking at you because you're looking around, but then if you kind of like look away, he's also like just looking at everybody. So, but
Does anybody look overly suspicious besides Braxton?
are you
The
looking?
guy with no.
You, everybody
the guy
looks
with no
suspicious.
emotion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, make an insight check.
Well, does anybody look thiefy? Yes. Thiefy.
Beepy.
Thiefy. Very thiefy. Oh, wait. Oh, no. So my insight is 0, so I can just roll a d. I almost did it on the thing. And then
Oh yeah, you can do whatever.
17. 17.
The real
Um,
dice work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Fuck
I
yeah,
know, now I want to
algorithm.
roll it on this and see what I got.
looking around at all of the people, you get a kind of thiefy vibe from
Do you see what it is?
no.
It's a 17. It says 7. It says 17
Nuh-uh.
on that too. I rolled
Oh,
a 7.
no.
I rolled a legit 17 here, if you can see it. And I rolled. Sorry, I got excited. I don't know if you guys actually see it. I got excited that I got both.
What a
Simple.
nerd.
All right. So who looks thiefy?
So you get a kind of thiefy vibe from just looking around, and this is just going to be you based off of you looking at people in the moment who are all kind of packing up to get ready to go. You look over at Murray, the scarred, the halfling covered in tattoos, and you're like,
Beefy.
and then thiefy. Then you look over at Minxie, and you're like, she could be thiefy too. And you look at
who?
Minxie.
Who was Minxie?
Yeah. You look over at Finian, who's on that same wagon, and he's just been like really, really nice this whole time, and
Write
you're
this
like,
down.
I don't really trust him.
Thief.
Thief.
Too nice.
Too nice. You look at Aldor, and you're convinced there. You're like, that's a thief right there. Then you look over at Radisir, and you're like, I don't really know anything about him. He could be him. You look at let's see, Green Imsa, and you're like, I don't know shit about her either. Plus she's green. Could be her too.
Green bitch.
Wait, is his intelligence score coming into factor here? That's what it sounds like.
I know, right? Everybody looks like that to me. Ugh. Everybody's a suspect in this detective.
Despite your
mystery that I've got
17,
going
you
now.
thought you were gonna find out, didn't you?
No, I just
He was like,
I
I,
just
got
needed to
17.
know.
Haha.
Yeah.
as she lists
At-
half the people there.
They
At
look
least he-
suspicious,
at
and they
least
look
he rolled
suspicious,
high
and they
enough.
look suspicious. Everybody's suspicious.
At least he rolled high enough that we don't look suspicious.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
True.
yeah, that's true. Good point.
You look over at your crew and you're like, no, they're fine.
Alright.
He has tried to attack
Zan-
us before.
Oh, don't bring it
This
up.
is true.
The influence of magic mushrooms. Don't make my heart hurt. You make my heart hurt.
What's a little attacking between
Madonna's
friends?
like, you know what? Like, the whole half of me fucking hurts when you cut me in half.
Hello, I was dead.
Sorry.
Well, Micaiah wasn't there to really witness it. Apparently, she was like back, so she doesn't really get it.
It's all good. Alright.
Alright, so we'll pick up on I guess we could pick up on day 20 if you want to start trying to figure out who did it, or we can pick up another day, like if you're gonna try to wait it out. So
Who did it?
I suck at murder
done it?
mysteries. I mean, any mysteries. I cannot help you be detective there.
Murder She Wrote. Here we come.
Yeah.
Because what's
I was-
my my perception is like 0.
Oh, God,
I
yeah, you're
coulda-
talking to me. Jesus.
I got a 4
What is
for
this?
perception and then 3 for investigation.
Yeah. Would
What's my
Xan have noticed
investigation?
anything? If me and Xan were
One.
sharing a tent, would he have noticed anything amiss in the middle of the night?
Well, he didn't, but you're also not sure if it happened in the middle of the night. You just noticed
They
the
kinda
next
just- they-
morning.
They would have just pickpocketed me in the middle of the day.
If you weren't paying attention.
What is this
I'm
thing?
always paying
Like,
attention.
It's about that big. It weighs about a
see,
pound.
that's
It's like
a-
a solid glass ball.
you'd feel that coming out of your
Softball or
pants.
baseball.
Maybe.
You guys got to remember your passive perception. If somebody rolls a higher stealth in your passive perception, they can just pickpocket all your gold.
Yeah.
Be aware.
Rachel. Oh my god.
My God. My gold.
That's all right. I wouldn't end up flipping out about it anyways. I'll ask questions as the days go on. We still have 20 days or something, right?
You still have probably somewhere between 25 and 35 days.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, we got plenty of time. I'll find who it is and I'll cut their head off then.
Every one of those thiefy looking motherfuckers.
Hmm.
All right.
Well, I got ideas already. Don't worry. It's gonna be stabby time.
All right. Well, mostly an RP day. Looking ahead at my plans here. I don't think we'll need roll. I don't think we'll need roll 20 for the next session either. And then after that, we will. We'll see. But yeah.
Yay!
10:45. We made it okay. So as not to keep
We're not
everybody.
supposed to be on roll 20 today.
What?
We're not supposed to be on roll 20 today.
No, I mean you could. It's just that it wasn't necessary to play today, so you could. Like we didn't use it for anything, so we could have more
Okay.
people on camera.
Awesome.
Yeah, this all worked out pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the other thing is like if you want to use more of like theater of the mind, then you're welcome to not use roll 20 at all, and I could just describe where you're at when fighting happens. I'll have it up because I want to see. But if it works better that you don't use it and I can just describe more accurately where you're at when there is a fight, then let me know and I can do that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind just having it open just so I can like see it at the beginning of the fight. I mean, I like rolling the real dice. That
Yeah.
I missed it.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go put my boys to bed.
All right. Night night.
Good job,
Alright,
everybody.
y'all.
Like, how are they liking a new house?
Good night. Oh my god, it's amazing. I love it.
You
It's
have
great.
to
Are the
give us
boys
a
cool
house
with it?
tour on video.
Yes, I will. Next time when everybody's up, when we start,
Yep.
I'll give you a house tour.
Fair
Because it'll
enough.
be all put together. There's still like
Nice.
crap everywhere, but
Hey,
It's
we've been
great.
here 2 years, and it was only like beginning of this year that we like finally put away like the last of the boxes.
oh my god, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It
great.
takes a long time.
Yeah. It's taken a long time. But no, it's great though.
Good.
We're happy. I'm just super tired. But I was really happy to get to play with you
Yeah.
guys. It was great.
Good night.
Good
night.
night.
Good
Night,
night.
guys.
We all did awesome.
Yeah.
Nobody died.
Somebody will die when I find out who took my
Uh-oh.
Griff Glow puppy thing.
My globy globe.
My globy, I gotta give it a name. If I'm gonna keep
Gotta find
if
it
I find
first before you
again.
give it a name.
Yeah, you gotta find. Oh no, you can name it. Maybe it will respond.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's a good
We'll
point.
trot back.
I was gonna say that's a good point. Can I just say the word and it just follows me if I walk off?
I don't know. You don't own it anymore.
Yeah, but I said
Oh.
you said it wasn't programmable or whatever.
Yeah, someone
All
hit the
right.
factory reset. They took it and
I
they're
know,
like,
right?
new user.
I don't know. Maybe it was like a fucking Furby or something, where like the more you handle it, the more it gets attached to you.
The more you want to
If
throw
nothing
it
hap-
against the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
what I was
right.
saying.
my sister had one. Yes, yes.